Now we have enough promotions of Suno on this channel, don't we?
Oh yeah. We're doing it in English now. That's a good reminder. Yeah, I was saying I need to add a fade button in Riverside. Riverside team, if you're watching this newsletter, which you obviously are, add a fade button because now I'm doing it manually. And
There you
yes,
go.
we are definitely promoting Suno and Udio, both of which are, by the way, now being sued by a big time American global, I guess, music labels.
Interesting.
Did you see that? Because that was
Oh,
not on our list, but I just remember that. And then not just being sued, but it's very interesting because at the same time that, for example, Sony decided to start to sue Udio and Suno for copyright infringement, they announced that they will be making AI versions of all of their artists if they want to be opted in, obviously, for the future. So they're not just they're
whoa,
not
that is
really
interesting,
yeah.
right?
So they're not really suing Suno or Udio, be, for what you would think they are. They're doing it because they want to own the rights on the AI on the
They really
AI
so. So you
music being
sign up an
made.
artist now for Sony, you become an eternal artist. They just clone the whole thing out of you, and they can make future music based on your voice, your style, and everything.
Yeah,
That's what they're after.
that's basically the idea. Yeah. Yeah, which I find incredibly intriguing because I think that's just such a bad move, right? Um,
I'm really
I think
curious how
music
this
belong.
plays out.
I think music belongs to everyone, and I think that although artists should be able to make money off their music, ultimately, I think that at some point uh, that should become like free to everyone, right? Why? Yeah, I don't know.
It is. So there are so many samples that people reuse music from the 70s in hip hop from the 90s, and it's all gets meshed now so much together with AI. You cannot really draw a line anymore where the creativity is coming from, right? This is remix on remix on remix. So we
Yeah.
come into this realm, it basically is for everybody, and you better make a living out of your live performance than from getting paid in your single track. That's
Yeah, I'm gonna sound like a boomer now, but what's this artist that's super popular now? Dita,
Dua Lipa.
Dua Lipa, exactly. There's this wonderful series of videos on TikTok about Dua Lipa, and people say, "Oh, Dua Lipa, she's so nice and refreshing and original." And this is, of course, all Gen Z and even some millennials saying this. And then there's this artist who made a video of every song that Dua Lipa has made that's popular, and then he puts the original song, which is always from the 60s or the 70s or the 80s,
It usually
next to
is.
it
Yeah.
to show that she is literally just copying the originality of that time, of artists from that time, for every single song. And the interesting thing, so because on the one hand I'm in favor of AI music and all of that, on the other hand I've been watching this video series on YouTube by a guy called I think Beato. Oh man, also an artist, Rick Beato, American YouTuber and longtime artist, and he has this whole series about how music has become less and less valuable, and that because music is always on tap and we can listen to it endlessly, everybody's starting to listen to the same thing, but also how creativity is going down the drain because we automate more and more of our music. He has a wonderful episode about Taylor Swift and how people are comparing her to the Beatles, but that is the most ridiculous thing ever because the Beatles wrote every single song themselves. Every single song was original, was new, it was an idea, it came from an emotion or a memory. But Taylor Swift is just like churning out songs because she has the best songwriters in the world making songs for her. So she has like an army of like 20, 30 songwriters that all make songs for her. And then she just adds a little bit of her flavor. And then she puts this song out. And all of these songs are based on best practices, based on
Right.
things that are proven to kind of get an audience excited. Now, I did see one interesting article where a philosopher claims that Taylor Swift touches on a lot of philosophical topics in her songs. I haven't really gotten into that yet. That would be an
No, me
interesting
neither.
question.
She's just that three big stadiums in Amsterdam this weekend. Everybody went mental over it. Yeah, I know her songs, but I'm really not really
Yeah.
into her sound. I don't
Yeah.
know. Yeah.
But but to come back to the start of this, I think that the fact that Sony is now trying to kind of get the rights for eternity to all of its artists, and other labels are doing that, I don't think that that's a good thing, because that will hamper creativity and stop creativity even more than what we've already seen, and ultimately that's just not good for music.
No. There's another use case I hear on the radio sometimes. These DJs of the artists, they say a jingle that you can win tickets for the concert. That would be a good use case to kind of allow the usage of your voice, so you can make some nice jingles with it. That would be nice, right? But eternal rights to use your voice for singing, I don't know. If you're already a millionaire, successful, I don't know. Why would you do it?
Yeah. Why would you do it? Why would you not allow young up and coming artists to be allowed to be able to benefit from this, to use this, other content creators? Why would you not allow people to enjoy your music? I don't know.
Is there already a completely AI-driven radio channel that kind of comes automatically with prompts, runs it through Suno, just plays music the entire 24/7 with AI music? Is it basically?
I think there is. Yeah. I think there is an AI radio channel already live.
There must be, right?
I'm pretty sure that I remember a radio channel launching like that, and there's probably already multiple.
Let's see when we have the real first robot DJ on a festival, right? It's
yeah. Here we go. Obviously, our great friend Perplexity is helping out. AI radio channel, Absolute Radio AI, location Germany, 24/7 AI. AI host named KI. Dance Radio Kai inside in Austria. This is interesting. Germany, Austria, Switzerland. Radio
the Netherlands as well. Yeah.
What's this? And the Netherlands. Wait, what? I'm so surprised by this. HDFM.
HDFM. Let's check it out. Are you opening it now or what?
I'm opening it now, yes. Wait. Oh, I found it. Wait. Can I share this? I can. HDFM real sound. Can I turn it on? Now live. Is there a live? Oh, here. Real sound, fake music. Why do they have DJs?
Probably that are also AI generated individuals.
Viral TikToker Rosa Mol. No. These are real people. Or not? Yes. But it's not playing. Sharing. Right. Luister live. Oh, here we go. Oh. Yeah, it's not playing. I don't know why. Nothing's happening.
Nah, let's move to something else. I was wondering if you played with projects, Aragorn, within Claude.
Played with projects in Claude?
Yeah.
No, I have not. But I have played with the artifacts. In fact, yesterday I did something super cool, and maybe I can even show it. I can try and look it up while I'm explaining. So there was a guy who posted a picture online of Bic. You know Bic pencils?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, and this guy was saying, like, look, you don't always need to innovate, because if you just have a great product, you know, the kind of post, right?
Exactly.
And he showed Bic to 1994 or 1950, 1974, 2000, 2015, 2020.
Always the same.
Always the same. And so I was looking at that, and I was looking at that. Well, this is only half the story, right? And I don't, generally, I don't always want to be that guy, but I just thought it was funny. So actually I found it here. I'll share it. So I made this post, as you can see here, and I added this little graph. And this is the graph of the revenue by Bic. And so I pointed out that although Bic had incredible revenue growth up to 2000, yes, I pointed out that since 2000, revenue has been tapering off and stagnating, and that it's actually more likely that Bic will start losing revenue now because they haven't innovated, because nobody's using pencils anymore. And the way I did with this was I simply asked ChatGPT 4 to gather the revenue data, And then I gave that to Claude 3.5, and I said, "Can you turn this into a chart for me?" And voila, this was what it did. And this is the artifact. And so then I could just copy it. And I have to say, ChatGPT 4 is supposed to be able to do these things, but I've never been able to actually have it work. It always gives me some kind of code error or whatever. And on Claude, this stuff just works flawlessly.
We need to make some landing pages for upcoming events, and I was thinking about trying it out with projects. I see such a good use cases of complete landing pages, complete apps. So let's see if we can find something with that. Yeah. Let's move to some new innovations in the medical improvements part. Let me see if I can bring it up. I saw some interesting articles over there. Here we go. Did you see this? That there is a new DNA editor that surpasses CRISPR?
Oh, no, I did not see this. I thought you were going to talk about, because I did see that there's now this, they made this kind of combination of CRISPR with an AI that allows you to sequence DNA and then have it actually created. But I wasn't aware of this.
No, we both have this in our keynotes, right? And this is also always the point where people go like, wow, are you not over-exaggerating? Is that not, they don't really see it. But the amount of articles that are now being released of all kinds of diseases and illnesses that are being treated is just staggering, right? Here is another one. So the potential medical implementations of just that new gene editor, correcting disease-causing mutations, 89% of known pathogenic human genetic variants can be tackled. Genetic disorders. That's just amazing.
It is. Yeah, I mean, I was watching a video yesterday of Neil deGrasse Tyson saying, "Look, we will fix basically all disease known to man within 15 years because of exactly this." And Neil deGrasse Tyson is, of course, a popular scientist and also somebody that says really cool things, but he's generally quite conservative, or he has been quite conservative on this front so far, right? Yeah. So for him to say something like that, that just shows how the outlook of so many scientists is already changing. Like even people that were more conservative in their estimates are starting to change their ideas and their beliefs because of how fast things are changing.
Yeah, exactly. And we usually talk a lot about cancer, but this was the one about osteoporosis, so getting weaker bones. And again, they have some, what was it exactly? They normally do it with X-ray, costs a lot of money, and now they tried 5 different AI models and have a more accurate predicting of it. Way cheaper, way faster. So super interesting. I will put this all in the newsletter so people can read it up. I have a couple of more of these.
Yeah, and a lot of this is also, I think we're also entering now the age of more preventative medicine. I think we're going to see way more AIs being used to kind of figure out what is causing people to have certain degenerative diseases or ailments later on in life, and then to help you prevent that rather than fixing it after it has occurred. Yeah.
And this one is also very interesting. I didn't know this way of folding a DNA string into a nanobot. What about that? Calling it DNA origami. Did you know about that?
No, I didn't know what this is. I read another article about how they made a nanobot that can pick up an individual cell and then take it somewhere and transport it so that it can be killed. But I didn't see this. This just goes to show how fast all this stuff is going right now.
Exactly. Using biological things basically to get results.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, man. I mean, Ray Kurzweil they made so much fun of this man when he said that AI was going to be big and then we would have nanotechnology, and they said, "Oh, you're crazy. It's not good." And here we go. I mean, this is starting to take off at an incredible rate now.
Yeah. Let's switch to another topic, Aragorn. This report came out, the state of AI. Let's include it in the newsletter. I think for many people will be interesting. That's a big research where they have asked a lot of people in the business world about their usage of AI. And some interesting facts in here, right? So 53% says AI is overrated.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that laugh, that is interesting, huh?
Yeah, yeah. But yes and no. Right? Okay, look, people suffer from cognitive biases and availability heuristic, right? The we all tend to judge the feasibility of a potential future and its outcome based on what we already know.
Yeah,
And most people do not listen to our newsletter. They don't read our newsletter. Most people are not even involved with AI much. Um, I know this every single keynote when I show the things that I show, and when I even show them that I talk to Perplexity or ChatGPT on my phone, people are blown away.
yeah,
Blown away. I
yeah,
mean, I just got the after video of the Expo 24 in Belgium where I went to 4 different sessions, and people called it. They said, "Wow, I was mind blown," or I really was like, "Whoa, what's going on?" or "I was scared." I'm not surprised by this. People don't really have the means to kind of understand what's coming their way right now.
no, no. So let's keep on doing what we are doing, Aragorn. This is also an interesting one. Let me see. People that secretly using AI at work. It's
Oh
an
yeah.
interesting question, right? So secretly using AI, and I come across this a lot of times that people are using ChatGPT to create a text, and then they don't feel too much comfortable about it. They keep it hidden that they have actually used it, and then you point them out by saying they've used the word Delph, and then
Yeah, you've been using the word delve all the time. So for those of you watching to this or reading, a while back there was a tweet from I don't remember the name of the guy, but who said that he was no longer answering any emails or reading any articles that had the word delve in them, because delve was a word that was only being used by AI. And then people showed a graph how the word delve had the use of the word delve had increased by 1,000-fold ever since ChatGPT was launched. I still think it's a bunch of baloney, but yeah.
yeah, yeah. But it's funny. You see the word Delph now everywhere.
Yeah.
Hey, I think you will like this as well. Let me skip to this one. We've talked about this, like robot companions.
Yeah.
The state of New York has handed out 31,500 RoboPets to older people in New York, so they have something to play and to talk to.
Really? Oh, this is interesting. I didn't know they did this in New York. So I know that in Korea they're doing this. And in Korea, they've had a massive campaign where they've been handing out dogs with limited AI to elderly people, because Korea is facing a massive problem, right? I mean, of course, the United States and Europe are also in the same boat, but not nearly as bad as Korea. Like South Korea is really. Japan, of course, has been suffering from an elderly population, and they choose not to have migration, so they had nobody to replace the workforce. So they've been dealing with this for since 2000 to some extent. But there's no country in the world like Korea where that is seeing such a massive wave of an aging population. I think we're going to see this everywhere. We're going to see this
And
all
I
over.
think in Japan you have the same, right? They also have a lot of older people, and they love robots there. So yeah, it's easier.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But yeah, and the thing is, what you need to keep in mind here is that, of course, it's great to give other people something that gives them a sense of companionship and helps them fight loneliness. But on the other hand, it's also just one of the first ways we get introduced to AI in our daily lives in a form that is more anthropomorphic, right? So, yes, a dog is not a human, but it's already much closer to us, and we feel much more of an emotional bond with that than we would with our computer, right? So,
It's a human friend,
ultimately,
right?
yeah, it's a human friend. So by doing this, and this is not a conspiracy theory. I don't think that companies or governments are doing this because of that reason, but it's just a side effect. We will start to more get used to kind of an artificial intelligence in the shape of a dog or human or whatever, something that is recognizable, and we will get used to having them in our lives doing things for us, starting with battling loneliness.
Yeah. The
So, and
book.
that will lead to acceptance. Yeah.
A couple of weeks ago, you recommended me a book from Megan. I don't know, God, Man, Machine. Was it?
Yeah, yeah,
Starts
yeah.
the
Oh,
book
Giblin.
with
Yeah.
Yeah, with the comparison of an eyebow. And
Yeah.
it was so well written. I thought, well, maybe I will buy an eyebow just for the fun of it. So I looked it online. But do you know how much an eyebow costs these days?
Yeah, they're expensive.
They're expensive,
This
3,500 or even more for an eyebow. I didn't realize they were that expensive. There must be
yeah,
chargeable technology.
they're still expensive. Yes, the question is, did they upgrade any of it? Because I mean, I'm pretty sure that was state of the art when they released it in the 2000s.
I
And for
hope
those of you,
so.
for anybody listening or reading that doesn't know what an IBO is, this is this artificial intelligence robot dog that Sony released in the early 2000s as a pet. Right, and this thing has sensors all over its whole body. You can pet it on the back, and then it knows you petted it, and it can see you, and it has learning algorithms, and it's not nearly as advanced as LLMs are now, but this
Yeah,
was
far
in
from it. Super far from it.
yeah, but it was still, it's so incredible how she writes about it, and the experiences she had with the IBO, because
Yeah.
she has experiences with this robot that are basically on par with what you would have with a real dog. I think her boyfriend hates the dog, right? Because
Yeah.
he instinctively doesn't like it, and then ultimately did you finish the book? I think ultimately she gets
Yeah.
rid of it, right? Because she starts to have these conflicting feelings about having this emotion for this machine, and it's very interesting.
Yeah, super way of introducing the book because he keeps coming back to it as a pun. That's pretty nice. Yeah. By the way, talking about cool robots, over the weekend I saw you post a video, and I saw it online as well, of a mini SARS from Interstellar.
Yeah, that was.
Do you have it? Do you have it? Let's bring it up screen. Do you know what it is or
Man.
not?
Yeah, I can maybe. Did I post it on Instagram or on LinkedIn?
I don't know. Anywhere, somewhere on your socials.
Yeah. Yes. Well, anyway, yeah. I
I
don't
always
think I
kind
can
of
find it so fast.
found that robot very intriguing because it's so kind of squarey. I don't know. It doesn't feel like a really modern robot.
I think the design of the SARS for Interstellar is so incredibly cool. I found it. Here we go. Okay. You'll have to deal with the Hoktua girl also because I can't turn that off.
Oh, not here again. Here we go.
Okay. So do we have any sound here?
Yeah.
Spit on that thing.
Oh, sorry.
Thinks he's
Sorry.
Guitars?
Yes.
Can you take a step forward so you're a bit closer to us?
Sure thing. Taking a step forward.
Yeah.
I just want to have that.
You think so?
We have to cut
Hey,
that.
Tars?
We have to cut that out.
Yes.
Can you take a step forward so you're a bit closer to us?
Actually, let's go to the whole post because the video is longer. That's why I was surprised that it's.
Hey, Tars?
Yeah, I saw a couple of
Can you take a step forward so you're a bit closer to us?
Sure thing. Taking a step forward.
Hey, Tars?
You called?
What is your humor setting at right now?
I love this. It's so good. I want
Yeah.
this as well. It's so.
My humor setting is at 25%.
Hey, Tars?
Yes.
Can we go ahead and dial that up to, let's say, 75%?
It's a really small thing, right?
Setting at
Looking at
20 to 75%. Get ready for some laughs.
Hey, Tars?
Huh?
Can you go ahead and tell us a joke then?
Why don't scientists trust atoms? Because they make up everything.
You see what I mean? He thinks it's
I love it, man. I love it. I want
Yeah.
one of these as well. It's so cool. I always loved the design of this robot because it's so original. It was so refreshing. And I even think that the way they thought about how these robots would function is actually quite incredible, right? But that they made this is so cool, and that it's even possible to do this now.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, let's switch gears to the next topic. I saw some really cool new updates about brain-computer interfaces. Let me show you what we have here.
Can you imagine a few years from now, kids will all have an AI robot? So let's say that they're watching Transformers. They'll have some Transformer kind of robot, or they'll watch Pokemon and they'll get some kind of Pokemon AI robot. This is going to be a thing.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. and what to think about the way they kind of then communicate with it. If it's done naturally to do it via brain-computer interface. We've talked about it many times. If you have an VR goggles or something on it, this becomes really important for very fast navigation. But there was a quote in this article that I wanted to see if I can find it. China is not the least bit shy about this. Point to ethical guidelines to improve the cognitive abilities of healthy individuals through BCI.
Yeah. So there's a few things super interesting about this article. So one is what you just pointed out. China is not shy about already admitting that they're not looking just to fix people that are broken. They want to improve people that are healthy, right?
Yeah.
Another interesting thing here is that this is another example, and I think we talked about it in the last newsletter. We talked about how far is China really behind. And the Americans like to believe that China is four years behind on AI and all this kind of tech. But the truth is that maybe 4 years ago, China was 4 years behind. Maybe a year ago, China was 4 years behind. But in the space of less than a year, China has caught up in the AI field and also in this field. And they're only a few months behind on American technology right now.
If even,
because the question is, are they really showing us everything they have, right? I mean, this is still a communist country. It's still, communist run. So it's not hard to imagine that they might have even better stuff that they're not showing.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know if you saw, and this is kind of scary because China also unveiled its drone army. They unveiled a swarm drone technology in their army that they're going to be actively using. So that means that massive swarms of drones with explosives can be used in combat.
But now, I assume the US has the similar kind of technology, right? Or
well, not that I know of.
No.
Not in that way, not like a swarm. Like the US has these super expensive $1 million drones that are these massive ones that shoot rockets. But what we're talking about here is China. Basically, China saw what happened in the Ukraine, where they're using small drones, right? With the HD headsets, with the head-mounted display where you fly the drone. They saw that, and they basically took that, and then they made swarms of them. So there's like 1,000 drones at once, all equipped with explosives. And there's it's a little scary, but they're also developing technology like this. So to me, it just feels like we're heading towards this complete paradigm shift also in warfare technology, right? A few years from now, you'll have Chinese guys walking around with a chip in their brain that can literally, by thought alone, control a swarm of drones.
Exactly.
It's really crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty scary. And also the image reconstruction gets better. We usually have a lot from the Meta research, which was already a year old. Some new pictures have now emerged from some other, and it's also coming from China, this 80% accuracy in image reconstruction based on a thought, right? What you see now on the screen is images are feeding to a person and only the brain activity gets measured. And then the output looks like this.
Yeah. Yeah, and I saw that, and I think it's truly incredible. It is really incredible because this goes hand in hand with the previous technology, right? So on the one hand, we're having AI being better and better capable of kind of analyzing and understanding the signals that we can receive from our brain. And then on the other side, we have chips that increasingly good that will be connected to our brain, increasing the fidelity of the signals and our ability to interact with those technologies. So again, this is multiple fields that are very closely connected. Of course, I talked about this before, but Meta and Apple have filed patents for adding new sensors to AirPods and these kind of the wearable devices to read your brain signals, electricity, blood flow, etc.
There you go.
But what I didn't know was that Brian Johnson, the longevity billionaire, he actually created a wearable MRI device. And I wasn't even aware of this. So he created a wearable MRI, and now, of course, it's still super expensive. But it's literally just a headset you can put on that does a complete MRI scan of your brain. right? So think about that.
How many
Previously, an
times?
MRI
How many
scan.
times does it? What's the frequency of taking that scan with the device?
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. But just to give an impression of how technology is progressing, right? MRI scan used to be and still is in every hospital a machine that's the size of a room with
Right.
massive magnets, right? And so even the fact that we can even create, even if it's just if it's just one picture, right? The fact that we now can already create things like that, the size of a helmet. You combine that with AI technology that's able to understand the signals from our brain. You combine that with chips that we can have built in. Yeah, let's go real quick.
Yeah, yeah. Now, talking about mind-blowing things, let's wrap it up with this one. Share screen. What about? Did you see this one? Talking about Chinese advancements. Developed a robot with a lab-grown artificial brain. An
Oh my god, check.
actual.
Oh my god, I've really been on holiday. What?
What the fuck? Yeah.
I knew that they were experimenting with this technology to kind of create artificial brains
It
that are
can
lab
actually
grown.
do a
But
couple of
this,
simple tasks based on a biologically grown, lab-grown brain.
whoa,
There we go.
that is kind of sick.
That's fine. I have to dive a little bit further deep, and I saw this week and have to read more about it. But it's pretty impressive. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's already there was also some people on social media that were already, it wasn't about this particular one, but about the idea of lab grown brains that were claiming like, okay, but is this even ethically what if these brains reach some level of consciousness, how does that work,
Yeah.
because
How does that
with
work?
lab grown brains we have much less. I mean, even with the large language models, we're already struggling to kind of know, where are things at, what's really going on in there. With a biological brain, that challenge becomes even bigger
Yeah. Or
because
a
then there's
combination of
stuff.
that.
Yeah, because we have even less insight into what's really going on under the hood. So yeah, I'm excited about this kind of stuff, but I'm also kind of, yeah, there are some serious ethical connotations and moral connotations to what we're doing here, and questions about whether we should do that in this way. I don't know.
Exactly. And which region of the world is it doing to advance? That is also an interesting discussion that we just had with what's happening in China. What do they
Yep.
consider to be ethical and correct? But it's already here. That's
Yeah.
yeah.
There is actually it's kind of crazy. There is a philosophical theory about it's called the Boltzmann brain, right? And it
Yeah.
basically is a philosophical theory that says like technically in an infinite universe, blah blah, you could have random particles come together as a brain, even if it's just for a fraction of a second, right? Technically, this or theoretically that would be possible. And then there's so many thought experiments you can do with that. But when I see this, I'm like, man, this is kind of like Boltzmann brain is a philosophical kind of thing, but this is a real thing. I mean, this brain could come together. We're making these in a factory, and for however long this brain exists, there could be someone in there and thinking to themselves like, what am I? Who am I? How
Right.
did I get here?
Yeah.
It's really kind of weird.
Same questions that we have.
Yes, yeah. Who's to
Yeah.
say we're not actually just inside the brain of some Japanese alien race in another dimension, and we're just basically a robot for their kids.
Yeah.
Okay. This was now that we're coming back. We talked about the Reality Plus and David Chalmers at the start of this, and I said it's not really very useful. But this, I was getting into this in reading his book. It's the final chapter of Reality Plus.
Yeah. I have the book ready for holiday. Talking about holidays, I have a small summer reading list with most of the books that we discussed. So we have some more tips this month for everybody to kind of read. Reality Plus is on the list for myself to read, but also The Singularity is Nearer is one of the key books I think that we've been looking forward to. We talked so much about is the 2003
Yeah.
version. You've read a couple of chapters of it. What's your first impression? Is it redo of what you already did, or what is it something really new?
Well, it's hard to judge at this point, but because I've really only read barely few pages. But I think what it feels like is that to a large extent he basically revisits his ideas from 2004, and then he kind of looks at in how far they have progressed to kind of build support again for his beliefs, for his
Yeah.
understanding. So, yeah, that's what I've read so far, or that's what the impression I get.
Yeah.
So, I guess by the end of it, he'll also go into other new things that maybe weren't so clear or on the horizon back when he wrote the first book. But he definitely goes on to kind of say, well, look, I said this would happen, and here we are, and I said this would happen, and here we are.
Yeah.
Simplified.
Yeah. I told you so.
I told you so.
The big "I told you so" book. Okay, well, he may do that because he told us many times.
He told us many
what's going to
times.
happen? Yeah. And this one is what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah,
AI
I read that one too.
2041. Talking about Kai-Fu Lee, this is of course one of the books I'm looking forward to. But his other book, AI Superpowers, says a lot about the whole mental state, where China is, and the predictions that he makes about China surpassing the US on AI, which he said in that specific book. He was not as accurate in his timing on that, but it's a very interesting read.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
This one is on the list. One of my favorites from last year, but still so very relevant. Benjamin Labatut.
You're gonna reread it?
No, this is more a tip for everybody to read. The rest of the books that I have in the list are books that I've read before, but also some older ones that are interesting to read. So I came across this one again, rereading it. Richard Dawkins, The Selfish Gene. It's from 1972. And it talks about the transfer of information, which originally is, of course, in DNA and genes, what we talked about, but also the means that we have, the way that we always share information is what he coined basically in this book. It's a very interesting and attractive book to read as well. It's a thickie.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
And have you read it?
Yeah, great book. Yeah,
it
great
is such an important book. When was it written, Anti-Fragile? Let's see if I have the date here. It should be more than 10 years old. But the insight that opposed to being fragile and being stable, there's also the concept of being anti-fragile, being very successful in chaos, which is basically
this is
the point what we're kind of drifting towards.
Absolutely, yeah. I like, although I have to say, I like his concept of anti-fragile and the way he presents it. But I also personally, I mean, the original meaning of the word anti-fragile is, of course, something that doesn't easily break. And I think that is very applicable to our time, because we've discussed this so many times. We're living in these times where everybody breaks, based on everything. Like people have no resilience to anything anymore. So
No.
I think in that context, you can also really, I think it's also really important to think about our fragility and how we can get to a better place.
I completely agree. And this is the last one on the list. It's a book which is more than 100 years old. Siddhartha from Hermann Hesse. It's a small one. So if you just don't like to read too much and want to take one and feel good, then these types of books really contain the ancient wisdom, right? About how to get enlightened and how to find balance in life. And it's still very accurate.
Mm.
Very cool book. So we make a nice list for everybody. There's a couple of more in there. And then, up to the summer holiday.
Yeah.
I'll be gone for a couple of weeks. So let's see if you can squeeze out a newsletter in 2 weeks. Otherwise, we'll do one when I'm back.
I'm going to do a newsletter in 2 weeks. It's going to be just me in the audience. I'm good.
Cool.
And Ricardo.
And Ricardo, of course. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Thanks for listening. Should I should probably.